Good morning, everyone in the GGO Nation. Happy Tuesday morning to you guys. Come on in, guys. We have some exciting news for everybody. Some exciting news, some encouraging news, but also a dire warning to all Georgians and gun owners across the state to what is going on, not just in Savannah, but also in 45 other cities in Georgia. Come on in. Tell me where you are watching from. Let me know if you can hear my audio okay. I got a fan going in the background. Hopefully it's not making too much white noise. But guys, we have a breaking update coming for you out of Savannah, dealing with the mayor's proposal for a gun control ordinance. I'm going to break down in detail what is going on with this ordinance, what the proposed ordinance is, what the status is, why we have to care about this if we don't live in Savannah, but we do live in Georgia. And guys, I am reading all the comments. I am reading all your comments. I am responding to your Facebook messages as much as I possibly can, as soon as I possibly can. So I know your questions, and I'm here to answer them. I also know some misguided thoughts on why we shouldn't care about this and how it's not harmful. And I'm also going to show you how that is very dangerous to all of our gun rights here in Georgia. But guys, I'm going to step back. I'm going to recap what's going on in Savannah in case you haven't been seeing our other Facebook posts or you're not signed up for our emails. If you're not sure what's happening in Savannah, let me tell you. Radical leftist Mayor Van Johnson is trying to pass gun control via city ordinance. Bad idea. Bad move. They have soaring crime rates right now in Savannah. And rather than dealing with the criminals, Mayor Van Johnson is instead trying to punish the victims. His proposed ordinance says that if a criminal steals a gun out of your car, he is going to charge you with that crime. He is going to fine you $1,000. Let me say this again. You just became the victim of a crime. Someone just broke into your car and they have just stolen your gun. They have just committed a felony for stealing your gun. And then they use it in a crime, which is another felony. But rather than trying to punish those people so severely that no one else wants to be like them, he is instead going to fine you for having your car broken into in his fair city. And then he doubled down. The moment he started to get blowback, Van Johnson made it worse. He went and proposed an addendum to his ordinance that if you don't report your gun stolen within 24 hours, he's going to double the fine. So now you don't even know your gun was stolen by an Antifa thug in Savannah. And not only are you getting charged with the crime of having your gun stolen from you, now you're getting charged with the second crime of not reporting it fast enough. Guys, this is preposterous. This is absolutely insane. It is meant to do nothing but scare gun owners into taking their guns out of their home in fear that they could be stolen. We're going to go over the objections to that in a second, but here is the update out of Savannah. This Thursday, the Savannah City Council is to have their regular meeting. Now, in August, Vanny Boy, Tyrant Van, was talking about how he was going to propose this ordinance next month. So that would be September. So we are supposed to have seen that ordinance by this Thursday. Guys, I have great news. Your phone calls, your emails, your Facebook messages, your tagging Van, your calling the council members have caused them to pause. They are not putting this ordinance up this Thursday for consideration or for a vote. If you don't believe me, go hop on over to the Savannah City Council's website and pull it up there. It's not there. I wanted to verify that they have to post the ordinances before the meeting. And so I called the clerk of the council and I asked them, where are the ordinances? And like looking at it, like, nope, there are no ordinances. That's just a filler space. If there was an ordinance to be considered, it would have been listed under there. So far, we have stayed off the tyrant's edicts on Savannah for at least 2 more weeks. This is not the time to let off the gas, though. In fact, GGO Nation knows that the moment you get the radical left or a rhino running, you need to run them all the way back. You need to bring them all the way back until they apologize. It's not enough that they just cry uncle, or they don't cry at all, or they just go away. They have to take it back. So guys, now is the time to pour it on. Let's go over some of the objections and the questions that we're getting. Everyone's like, doesn't Georgia have preemption law? Yes, it does. It's Georgia Code 16.11.173. Very familiar with it. I have to be, because after all, I lobby for your gun rights. We fight for your gun rights in Georgia. So knowing the code is part of the job. Yes, Georgia has preemption law. Doesn't that block Van Johnson from proposing and passing his ordinance? No. Van Johnson can propose and pass any ordinance he wants. It is up to the courts to force him to undo it or stop doing it. And that is done by either an organization like us filing a lawsuit against him, which if we have to, we will, or it takes the Attorney General, Chris Carr, to write a letter and tell Van Johnson and the City Council, don't you dare pass this ordinance that you're proposing. Or if they do pass it, then Chris Carr, the Attorney General, has to bring a lawsuit against the city of Savannah. So if you live in Savannah, just know this: Van Johnson plans on taking your property taxes, your sales taxes there in Savannah, and he's going to use them to fund the lawyers to fight against your gun rights against either Chris Carr or Georgia gun owners and our members and supporters. What an absolute waste. What an absolute tyrant. That is disgusting in my book. And it's disgusting in everyone's book. So yes, Georgia has preemption law, but it takes a lawsuit to undo or stop whatever Van is doing. Now, the next big thing, and this just bothers me to no end. Well, this is just common sense. Don't ever leave your gun in your car. Okay, I get it. I don't leave my gun in my car unless I have to. And in the case in Savannah, you have to a lot. Van Johnson has continued with gun-free zones in the city of Savannah. City Hall, courthouses, wherever you have to go to do business, you have to take off your gun. You're not allowed to engage with the city of Savannah face-to-face while carrying your gun for personal protection. It's not allowed. So what does a gun owner have to do? They wake up in the morning and they have to decide, let's see, I have to go to City Hall to fill out this permit, or I have to go to the tax assessors to deal with this title, or deal with the property deed. My aunt died, I inherited some property, I got to go down to the courthouse, sign some papers, file some papers, whatever. What am I going to do with my gun? I'm going to wear it. Well, not into the building you're not, so now you have to leave it in the car. But now Van Johnson's going to fine me $1,000 if an Antifa thug breaks into my car and steals it. So what are you going to do with it? I'm going to leave it at home. Okay, now you're the victim. You're a potential victim for the entire day, and your rights have been infringed upon because now Van Johnson has made you have to leave your gun at home. Guys, if this was a dry cleaners or a grocery store or a restaurant or anywhere else where it was a private establishment, we have the right to go wherever else we want to do our business. That's what we do. That's what I do all the time. You got a gun-free zone sign up. I'm not shopping there. I'm not giving you a dime. Go somewhere else. Not a problem. We wouldn't have a leg to stand on to say this was an infringement. But when it's a government building that we have to do business with, that is the problem. So now if you're an Antifa thug, and there are plenty of them in Van Johnson's neighborhood, if you're an Antifa thug, now you know with this ordinance, or before this ordinance or whenever, that if you want to steal a gun out of a car, all you got to do is go down to the parking lot outside the biggest gun-free zone, the City Hall in Savannah. All you got to do is go down there, pull on 500 door handles. Hopefully one's open, or you can jimmy one open, break into a car. It doesn't matter. You can steal a gun. You know that there is a higher concentration now in the parking lot of gun-free zones than anywhere else in the city of Savannah. That is the problem here. Van Johnson is making the victims, and he has no problem doing it. That is why we have to fight back against this ordinance, because it's not just about being responsible. It's about making victims out of gun owners. The next big thing is, I'm sorry, let me get some of the comments here. I'm sorry, I had those turned off by accident. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in there. Charles, you've touched on the fallacy of the current campus carry law. I think I know what you're talking about, but maybe I'll get back into that in a minute. So let's talk about why this is only the first step in the radical left and Mayor Van Johnson's efforts to pass greater gun control. Guys, Van Johnson does not care about just the guns stolen in the cars out of your car, the guns stolen out of your cars. Van Johnson wants a total ban on AR-15s. He wants a total ban on 30-round magazines. He wants universal background checks, or as we like to call them, universal gun owner registration with the federal government and Joe Biden. And he wants mental health gun control. How do I know this? Van and 45 other mayors across Georgia just last August signed a letter to Brian Kemp demanding a special session to pass gun control, specifically a ban on AR-15s, a ban on 30-round magazines, mental health gun control or mental health gun reform, which is just red flag laws, and universal background checks. Van is right there at the bottom, at the very bottom, because it goes alphabetical near the bottom for Savannah being at the end. So Van wants total gun control. He wants to strip our rights away. He wants to disarm his political opponents. He wants to disarm the opponents of Antifa. And he wants to do it however he has to. If he can't get it through legislation by bribing a few more rhinos to do it, then he's going to do it by city ordinance and hope and pray that groups like Georgia Gun Owners and the Attorney General, Chris Carr, will not challenge him in court, which is a very costly endeavor. And so once the crime rates don't do a damn thing because of his ordinance, if it passes, and once it's in effect until we can get it thrown out in court, then Van is just going to say, well, that didn't work. It's time to ramp it up. I'm going to pass another city ordinance for gun control. And he's going to keep doing this. This is what he wants. So guys, where are we at from now? So they've taken it off the agenda for this week. We don't know. It'll be a few, probably 10, 14 days before we find out if it's going to be at the next city council meeting. I am under the belief that it will be at the next council meeting in 2 weeks and 3 days, because that one's at 2:30 and he's going to need way more time to try and pass an ordinance like this. This is our opportunity. We have made him blink. It is time to run him back against the wall. We have got to continue the phone calls. That's what this is all about. We are going to continue the phone calls against the Savannah City Council. And this will keep mayors from, like in Athens, who's now talking about how he wants more gun control to protect the citizens in Athens. Why don't you just enforce the law? Why don't you just punish criminals? How about you stop cutting deals and make it the punishment so severe, so swift, and so treacherous for criminals that they don't want to be criminals anymore. So we're going to continue our campaign for the phone calls to Van Johnson's office. We're going to continue our emails until we hear from him that he is no longer proposing this ordinance. He's going to give some lame excuse when he backs out. It's going to be, oh, the lawyers don't think we can do it. We're, whatever. He's going to come up with something. That's fine. But until he does and pulls this ordinance, we have got to keep up the fight against Van Johnson and the city council. But guys, this is even more important. Sorry, I'm getting kind of lost. Okay. If you saw my video over the weekend, it is a known tactic of the radical left to have one lightning rod, one radical, one hardened tyrant like Van Johnson to sit there and take all the heat. He simply does not care. He simply does not. In his mind, he has accepted his role as the dictator, and there will be those who will not like him. He's fine with that, and he's fine with taking all these phone calls. Actually, he's not. He's squealing like a little baby. He's Facebook messaging our members who are reaching out to him, sending him Facebook messages, complaining, mouthing off, making threats like you don't know what you've just called down upon yourselves by speaking our minds. So Van Johnson is taking all the heat of this right now. I think that's not fair to Van. I think that's not fair. No, that's not fair. Johnny, Utah, Sheriff Witcher told me he would not enforce. Johnny, I am afraid that this is not going to be in the domain of Sheriff Witcher. This is going to be a city issue. This is going to be a city ordinance. City police are going to dole this out, and it's going to be a fine coming from the city of Savannah. Sheriff Witcher is not on the hook for this. They are not going to ask him to get involved in this fight. They are going to handle this edict themselves. And so while I appreciate that Johnny Witcher is not going to enforce this, it's not going to come down to him. It's going to come down to the city of Savannah. But back to what I was saying about it's not fair to Van that we're just calling him. Van proposes the ordinance. Van is going to stand up and talk and lecture us about how we are not good Americans and good members of the community for not supporting him in his endeavors to punish the victims of a crime. Van is only one vote, though. We have got to be pounding on all of the other city council members' phones. We have got to be calling them. Guys, I'm going to hold up a couple of sheets of paper here in a minute with a bunch of phone numbers on them. I'm not going to ask you to record them or write them down. Just if you're on your phone, take a screenshot of these photos when I hold them up. Otherwise, I will put them in the comments. But it is time to spread the love to the rest of the city council and tell them that when this proposal comes up, you had better vote no. So here's a list of all of the other city council members who have to vote on this trash legislation. Here, let me try and hold it straight. It's reversed for me. There you go. You have got to call all of them. I would pick 2 a day, every day, and I would call them and tell them to vote no. Now, I'm being told that a lot of these offices, they're not answering anymore. They're sending your calls to voicemail. For me, that's great. That warms my heart that they're so inundated with these calls saying hell no to this gun control that they're not even answering their phone anymore. But keep leaving voicemails. If the voicemail box is full, I got great news. If you call Alicia Miller Blakely at 912-346-5220 and you tell her you had better vote no on the mayor's ordinance. In fact, you better come out publicly and oppose this ordinance. If she does not answer to hear that, well, then call Bernadette Lanier. And if she doesn't answer, call Detrick, call Linda, call Nick. Keep calling down the list until you get someone that answers the phone. And it's not enough that if they say, well, we're not going to vote for it. Come out publicly and condemn this ordinance. Come out publicly and defend law-abiding gun owners. Stop sitting there in your office saying you're going to vote no. Come out publicly and stop supporting the mayor with your silence. That is what we demand of the city council. Now, we're going to take this bigger. We have had zero engagement from anyone in authority, in office, if you will, decrying what the Savannah mayor is doing. Now, there are several Democrat representatives, and the state senator that covers Savannah are Democrats. We don't expect them to do this. They're in Atlanta trying to pass gun control of the same kind, like HB 161, Safe Storage Bill, or 131, Mary Margaret Oliver's bill, to fine you with a criminal charge if someone breaks in your car and takes your gun, or into your home and takes your gun. She's going to charge you as a criminal. Okay. We expect the Democrats to be Democrats, but what we demand are the Republicans to stand up. So if you live in Savannah and you live in Representative Jesse Petria's district, you are affected by this gun control ordinance. And we have not heard from Jesse publicly that he is opposed to this proposed ordinance. Jesse is not getting involved in this fight. We've seen nothing. If I'm wrong, someone send it to me and I'll make an apology. But we have heard nothing. In fact, we've heard quite the opposite. We have heard that we don't think this is going anywhere. That's not a defense. That's not fighting back. That's sitting back and waiting to see which way the tide goes. That's not in the interest of gun owners. So call Jesse's office. I'm going to hold it up again. Take a screenshot. Call Jesse's office and tell Jesse to come out publicly and stand up for his voters that live in the city limits of Savannah, and tell him to call the city mayor, tell him to call the city council, and tell them to vote no, to drop the ordinance. Don't even bring it up for a vote. Put it away. Stand up and say no to this proposed ordinance. Call Jesse. If you live in Bill Hitchens' district, I believe he touches a part of Savannah, the north part of Savannah. I was messaging with a GGO member just last night, and I ran his address to figure out who his legislator is, and it came up with Republican Bill Hitchens. Bill thinks he's too good for anybody else. See, Bill is the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee. Bill decides where every dime of your state tax dollars are spent. Bill decides. Bill runs that committee. He appropriates where the funds go. The committee votes on it after he's told them how to vote, and then it goes to the floor for a vote, and then it goes to the governor to be passed into law. Bill can't be bothered taking care of the voters in his districts and their gun rights. Bill can't be bothered, apparently, because he's not come out opposed to this legislation. Not that I've seen anywhere. So, guys, call Bill, call Jesse, and tell them you had better stand up for the voters in your district and help them tell the city of Savannah to drop this proposed ordinance. All right, guys, I'm going to go through the comments here. I think I've answered most everything that I can think of as far as the issues here and the problems. And if I've missed anything, feel free to throw me a question. But George Brown up in Blairsville. I love Blairsville. It's not too far away from my favorite fishing spot in all of North Georgia. Why does George need to care about Savannah? Well, George, it's because if they do it in Savannah, they're going to do it in Blairsville. Now, I actually don't know the makeup of Blairsville City Council. Are they all Democrats? Are they all Republicans? I don't know. Today, they are. What about next year? We don't know. So we have got to be fighting for our ground today. Charles in Marietta, you absolutely bet the City Council of Marietta would be more than happy to pass this gun control. Let's see. Christian Tucker, do not comply. This is something we should also think about. If your gun is stolen out of your car, and you don't report it within 24 hours, well, then you're fined $1,000. Okay. Everyone, I hate the line, I lost my guns in a boating accident. If it's time to lose your guns, I'm not going to finish it because Facebook will shut off our page. But if you tried that argument, lost all my guns in a boating accident, with this city ordinance, are they going to fine you $1,000 for every gun you lost within the last, over 24 hours ago? Are they going to fine you for those guns? That's the law they're trying to pass in Pennsylvania. If you lose a gun, you have to report it within 36 hours or something. Otherwise, it's a serious criminal charge. So that's the other half of this that is absolutely garbage. Toccoa, Jim Banks. Jim, do you want gun control coming to a city near you? No, we do not. And that's why, Jim, I think it'd be a great idea for you to call every one of those city council members and tell them, while you may not live in Savannah, you travel there, you could travel there, but you don't want to see their ilk spread anywhere else. Why is it not possible for us to care for our fellow Georgia citizens by wanting them to not have to live under gun control in Savannah or in Marietta or in Dalton or in Conyers? I'm trying to think of the other names on the list. Columbus was not on the list, not yet. But no, we don't want to see any Georgia gun owner living under this tyranny of a city council passing gun control ordinances. And again, you're like, but Alex, code 1611-173, preemption. That requires a lawsuit to stop an ordinance once it's gone into effect. Either I have to file it or the attorney general has to file it. And if you do it 46 times, it is going to be expensive and hard to roll back all this gun control. And the radical left knows this. This is why they're going after this. This is why this is their method. Johnny Utah, Van needs to go. Tell that to every voter, how you feel in Savannah. Tell them all that. My friend Ray, the Dalton mayor and Varnell mayor, are wanting red flag laws here in Northwest Georgia too. Yes, not just red flag laws in Dalton, Ray, but they want a ban on AR-15s. They want a ban on 30-round magazines. He wants a ban on, he wants universal background checks. That's right, Ray. If you were to buy a gun from your best bud, your hunting buddy, your shooting buddy, your state senator, if you want to buy a gun from him, the Dalton mayor wants you to be registered in a federal database as having bought that gun. And as we all know from history, every dictator needs a list. They need a list of the dissenters before they go after them. And that's why we will always fight tooth and nail to not undergo universal background checks to be put on a tyrant's list. We will not do it. Ray Rodriguez. Sorry, sorry, guys. The 2A is not negotiable. Completely agree. But Van Johnson disagrees. Actually, we have a great image here. One of the gals in our office whipped this up for us. Facebook didn't like it, so they suppressed it. But this is the city council for you. If you're familiar with the old movie, it's a cult classic, if you will, from 1997, but it's based in Savannah. But Midnight in the Garden of Evil. That is what the city council is. They are evil in trying to disarm law-abiding citizens in Savannah. Let's see. Any other questions in here? Dallas, Georgia. Hardy, my man. So far, I've not heard anything about a mayor in Dallas trying to do this, but we don't know about the next mayor, do we? Wade, the Georgia sheriff, is the chief law enforcement officer in the county and can charge and arrest anyone he believes had violated the people's constitutional rights. Wholeheartedly agree. Sadly, I have not seen one sheriff in Georgia that I feel will step up to the plate if need be for this. So, guys, that's about it. We are not done in this fight. What we have done is what they have done. What the radical left has done is they have pushed off this fight for 2 more weeks, hoping that you and I run out of steam, run out of fight, and stop caring about this. I am here to tell you that I'm going to wake up every single day. I'm going to come into this office and I'm going to continue to fight against Van Johnson and the entire Savannah City Council and their efforts to pass gun control via city ordinance. That is a promise. I will not stop from today until the time that Van Johnson finally withdraws his comments and drops his proposed ordinance. This will not go away. I will continue to remind you. I will continue to email you. I will continue to post on all of our platforms about the fight in Savannah until Van Johnson drops it. And all I ask is that you guys continue in the fight with me. I've made it very easy for you guys to keep up with this fight. In the comments, in the comment section at the top of this video, there's a button. That button is always going to be there. It's never going away. Never going away. If you click that button, you will be able to fill out your email, your pre-written. I wrote you an email already to send to Mayor Van Johnson and all 8 of the city council members or aldermen or whatever they want to call them in Savannah, to send them a pre-written email and tell them hell no to this gun control. Click that link, send your email. Now, I pre-wrote you the copy, but you can edit it to say it however you want to say it. If you don't like how I said it, if you want to be stronger about it, if you want to be more gentle about it, edit it however you want and send Van Johnson and all 8 of the city council members an email telling them why they need to vote hell no on this ordinance or just completely drop it, take it back. There's that link. We have their phone numbers posted all the time. Keep calling them. They hate those phone calls. I think I didn't finish my thought on this. Van Johnson's the lightning rod. The city council members do not like these phone calls. They cannot take the heat. They do not like the heat. It is bothersome to them. They hate confrontation. Well, some of them hate confrontation. And so you have got to keep calling them. Do you know who's actually going to make Van Johnson pull this ordinance? It's going to be these 8 council members. When they keep getting all these phone calls from gun owners across the state of Georgia, and particularly in the city of Savannah, telling them to squash this ordinance. It's when these 8 call up Van and say, dude, stop. Whatever you're doing, stop. I am not taking the punishment for your crimes anymore. The political punishment for your political crimes, for the humor impaired. It's when these 8 call Van and tell him to kill this ordinance that Van's going to realize he doesn't have the vote to pass it. He's going to be embarrassed if he tries, and he's going to kill this bill. So, guys, make your phone calls to the city council. Send your emails to the city council. Hardy, they think that we're going to stop. They really don't know me. Hardy, I know you, and I know you're never going to stop, and that's awesome. I have just been overwhelmed with the number of Facebook messages we have been receiving in support of this. People sending me screenshots of Van Johnson's replies. So, it's been incredible. You guys have been amazing, and you have got us to this point, and now we need to keep going. We have got to be unrelenting in our pressure against the city of Savannah. Otherwise, it will come to Gwinnett County, any city in Gwinnett County. It'll come down into Fulton County, over in Forsyth County. This will spread everywhere if Van gets away with it. So again, we have got you email links. We've got your phone numbers up for you. We tag Van all the time in our Facebook posts. You can go to his profile, send him a private message, get it right on his phone. He likes to reply. He's always hot and bothered. He's always got a snappy, snarky, sniveling response. Those are always great fun. If you get a good one, be sure and send me a screenshot of it. And last but not least, Georgia gun owners is not supported by massive PACs. We do not have massive donors out there cutting us checks to fill our budget for the year for us to do our jobs. Georgia gun owners relies on the generous contributions from our members and supporters. Guys, that's you. And so in the top of this link, I think I have a link to go and make a donation to this particular fight so we can keep up the pressure. I would ask that you please join with Georgia gun owners. We are getting ready for the legislative session in January. We have huge fights coming, massive fights coming in Atlanta to protect our gun rights and to pass pro-gun legislation. We are building a massive program for that. And so we need your support now more than ever. You can a membership is $35 a year. You can go there now. You can hit the button, or if you can even chip in $5, $10. A lot of you guys love to give 1776. It's one of my favorite numbers in the world. Chip in now. We greatly appreciate it. We need your funds. We have got to keep fighting. Otherwise, this will spread. That's all I have for today. Please share this video, like this video. Facebook loves to crush our videos and not let anyone see them. So please like and share it, because that will help beat the algorithm. That's what we have for today, guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will be down in there. I'll answer them as best I can. Otherwise, we will look forward to updating you when we have more information.